Welcome, friends. My name is Bill Wiley Kellerman. I'm a member of the National Council of Elders. I'm based in Detroit, but now also at Kirkridge Retreat and Study Center on the Kittatinny Ridge in eastern Pennsylvania. The council has been engaging a series of conversations prompted by the continuing import of Martin Luther King's 1967 Breaking the Silence speech against the U.S. war in Vietnam, which he saw as symptomatic of the giant triplets of racism, militarism, and capitalistic materialism. And we've been led recently by urgent reflection on that speech by Michelle Alexander, best known for her longstanding work on mass incarceration. And in the light of genocide in Palestine, the present collapse of the climate system, the assault on democracy, she's concluding and commending to us that only revolutionary love can save us now. And it's in search of the presence and power of revolutionary love that we've come to Nashville to a conversation with Omari Booker. Welcome, dear brother. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us. I wonder if you'd be willing to share just a little bit about your formation as an art maker. I've looked at your website and really appreciating so much. I'm wondering if you'd say a little bit about how you came to be an art maker and its significance in your life.
I took an art class my senior year in high school, and then I went on to college. I was a math major. I played sports. I um, wasn't really heavily considering making art as far as a vocation and that being my path in life. And after about 3 years as a math major, I changed majors. I just decided to focus on art because that's what I like to do the most. And making art daily actually kind of began when I was incarcerated, during incarceration. And so I didn't begin making art while I was in, but I really found the liberating impact that art making had on my life while I was on the inside. And then when I got home, I just continued that daily because that's what was feeding my spirit. So
I've been looking at a couple of self-portraits that you did. They're big ones, and
yeah,
so I'm sure they were both done after. Uh, One of them is you're in the cell, kind of reading a letter, maybe, or sitting on the bunk, and but there's this. It's called Blackbird because there's a bird in the window there, and then a second one where you're sitting on a couch, I think at home probably,
yes.
barefoot. You're looking at us with a paintbrush in your hand. I wonder if you'd say something about those two self-portraits together.
Yeah, they're definitely in conversation with each other. The one I made, the one in the cell first, and
Oh,
it's called This Blackbird because there was a blackbird that would come to my window um, pretty much every day for about a year of the 3.5 years that I was in. As the sentence was coming to an end, I decided to make a series that was sharing that experience through different paintings, and so I called it 15. And that body of work was really made to tell my side of that story, but also to honor the people that really helped pull me through those 15 years.
mm,
And in the two pieces, the one in the cell that had the bird in the window, Man's Search for Meaning, was a book um, that was on the
yeah.
that was on the bookshelf, and I'm kind of sitting there looking as if someone was approaching the cell. It's almost like if you were standing in the front door of my cell, that's what you would have seen. And then the second painting was kind of me looking at the painting as I was making it in a way. It was kind of I titled the second one "Corrected," and it's a little bit of a jab at the correction system
Yeah.
because it was like the big correcting agent in my life was art. You know, it wasn't prison, but and so I decided to name that second one "Corrected," and I'm kind of sitting in my studio on my big kind of recliner chair, and it's got all of the artwork around me. And that was the space that I would have been making the other painting from. So I'm kind of looking at myself from those
Okay.
two different vantage points. Yeah.
What does embedding it in art do to the power, as it were, of razor wire, and what does it mean to you in doing that?
Yeah, it is. I mean, of course, it's a really aggressive material. I mean, even just working with it myself, there was a time or two where it would catch a piece of skin, and it's designed to dig in quickly. If you
Hmm.
snag it, it won't just snag you like another thing. It'll actually kind of penetrate. And so yeah, it's a really really aggressive material, and I think being around razor wire for those years, and anyone who's incarcerated, you're always looking for what is the point of escape. And it's not looking at it because you want to escape. It's just, I was in Nashville, so right beyond the razor wire, I could see Bradley Parkway. Like I could see the same interstate that I had been, driving up and down for years, and went to the mall with my parents when I was a kid, and all these kinds of little things. So the razor wire is pretty embedded in the mind of anyone who has been incarcerated. And then using it in spaces like Double Dutch, I was thinking about redlining and thinking about how dangerous redlining was as far as a practice. Growing up in a certain neighborhood that might have, a lack of good food, or bad public schools, or a lot of drugs or gang violence or whatever, you might navigate it and get out, but at any slip, it's just going to cut you horribly. And that's kind of was my idea of how that razor wire was used in a lot of those pieces. I did pieces around sports, the military. There was a basketball piece where my kind of approach with that piece was, when I go into schools and I talk to kids, so often they say, I want to be a basketball player, I want to be a football player. But the schools that are predominantly Black, that seems to be the overwhelming majority of what so many students want to do. When I know from being a college basketball player and being a really good one, like, you're probably not going to make your full living. And even chasing that dream, my kind of hope is that there would be a bunch of different dreams and ideas and things that these kids could envision themselves being. And so I made the basketball out of razor wire,
Uh,
because in thinking about it being like a mind trap almost, where it's like it's a great thing to want to be, and it's really limiting.
we've come to Nashville and you in search of revolutionary love. Uh, what, how would you say your experience of that, your living it out? Um, um, where do you, where would you grab hold of that in your own life?
Revolutionary love in my life has shown up when I was on the receiving end of it first. I think that I've received it in a robust enough way that I feel like I can find ways to live it out myself. But while I was incarcerated, a good friend, he's a restaurateur in Nashville who passed this year, named Randy Rayburn. He wrote a letter to the parole board to to let them know I had a job when I got out. And then when I got out, or then I didn't get parole. Then he wrote another letter to the parole board the next time, and I did get it. And then I was working at his restaurant in about the next 5 days. That restaurant ended up closing, so he took me over to his other restaurant, and I worked there for another couple of years. And in that whole time span, I couldn't get my service permit, because to serve in a restaurant, you can't have a drug possession felony. And so he found a friend who was a lawyer to help me get my service permit. It's like all of these loving acts that he did. Just there was a person that he loved. And
Uh,
that's a really good example for me that I can exhibit that kind of love. And I may not be able to do that with every single person that I run into, but if I do it with anybody, it's going to shift the way that they move in the world, because I live my life out in a different way because of his impact on my life. And I've had that kind of story with a number of people, but there's always room to love the people next to you. There's always space for that, and I think that's a huge challenge that we're in right now. Because I live in Tennessee, and we all saw the returns. Like, I'm living next to people that don't think the way that I think, that didn't vote the way that I would have liked to have voted had I had a vote. Like, to love someone revolutionary isn't, oh, you look like me, you think like me, you hold the same things that I hold, so I'm going to love you. It's everything in me is saying no, but there's something else that is saying yes, and that's I think that's our challenge. I don't And I don't know how that's going to end up, but I know that that's the only
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
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 that's the only way through. And so that's the challenge right now.